Okay guys, here's another tutorial for you. This is going to be regarding time tracking. From this point forward, I'm going to require that everybody keep track of their billings and billable hours on a Excel spreadsheet that I've generated. At the end of each week, I'm going to ask that everybody email me a copy of their report to an email address that I've designated. So without further ado, here you go. So here's the time tracker sheet that I generated. You'll see up here at the top left-hand corner, this is where you're going to put your name when you receive it. Here's the branch that you're in. Right now we only have Charlotte. This date period will automatically populate as you enter in dates here on the right hand side. The reimbursement mileage is just a factor that's there, and it's 0.54 or 54 cents, which is the current federal rate for reimbursement. This is for just overall monitoring, but this is also something more specifically for you to monitor yourself. It helps keep you honest, and it's just a good way of figuring out how much time you've actually spent during the week doing things. So basically what I've done is you can see all these different columns that are broken down. It looks like there's a lot that's going on, but it's actually fairly simple. I've gotten it broken down into your date column, your client, project, lump sum billing if it's something that we're doing for design, or something that's not being billed hourly, which may be a large portion of what you're putting in here. It may just be lump sum billing. That's fine. I don't necessarily care as much about keeping track of your billable hours for a project that has a firm lump sum billing, because quite frankly, it doesn't matter. If it takes you 2 weeks to do it, it takes 2 weeks, and that'll come out in your overall billing efficiency for the week. So, which I'll get into here in a moment. But if it's lump sum billing on a project, just enter in the amount there. If it's hourly, have it broken down into various categories. There's summaries in each column, and there's summaries at the bottom here, which I won't explain too much because it'll kind of be self-evident as you put this thing together. But basically what I've done is broken it down into weeks, week 1 through 5. Here's week 1. At the bottom of each week, you'll see a summary, which I'll get into. But here's week 2, here's week 3, week 4, and some months will have 5 weeks. And then at the very bottom here is going to be your monthly summary for, in this case, January. As you go throughout the month, you can just copy and create new tabs. I'm going to basically set it up with a blank tab, and I would just suggest before you start filling things in that you basically add in those blank tabs. That way you don't have to go back through and like delete an entire month and then copy it over. So anyway, we'll get into that as we need to, but here, let's just run through a quick example. So week 1 today is January 13th, 2018. Let's say I did a project for Brewer Custom Homes. Project was the Brewer residence, lot 14, Providence Downs, and I just completed today. So, and there's a lump sum billing of $300. Bang, there it is. There's your lump sum billing for that day in that project. There's your total lump sum billing. And then here it's populated down here at the bottom, and it's going to give you for that week total billing and a billing efficiency. We'll get into this here in a second. But anyway, regardless, that's where you can enter that in. And let's say that on the next day I did nationwide project Phillips tree impact inspection. And let's just say the address was 1 Fallen Tree Drive, Waxhaw, North Carolina. It took me an hour to go back and forth. I inspected for 3 hours that day. And then let's just say the same day I wrote the report, and that was 4 hours. And then all the way over here, it took me, say, 60 miles round trip. So there's your hourly rate inspection. There's 1, 3, 4 miles billable. I can fix that. That's, well, let me just see. There you go. So here we've got, basically, we've entered into 2 types of things that we bill. One is a design with for $2,300, and then another project that's more hourly. If you'll notice, the lump sum billing is accrued right here, $2,300, and then the total billable hours will be accrued along this column, and you can see that we did, in this case so far, we did 8, comes up here. And then this total hourly billing is a product of the number of hours you worked, and I'm just multiplying it times an hourly rate of 165 right now to give you just kind of a very localized summary right below your billable hours, so you can see how much you've billed along this hourly rate tally. So if I added other projects in and there was more billings, bang, bang, you can see it continues to accumulate and tells you what your hourly billing is. All right, so let's just say that's the end of that week. I only did 2 projects. Hopefully you did build more than 8 hours that week, but let's just say you build 8 hours and did this one project. Well, you come down here and then here's your week 1 summary. Here's your total lump sum billing of $2,300, and then here's your totally hourly billing of $1,320, which is the same as that number right there. Here's my total billing for the week between the 2, $3,620. Based on a 5-day available workday calendar, I had 40 hours worth of available billable time. I billed 8 of those hours. And then I had let's just say that you had some non-billable activity. Hopefully that's limited, but let's just say I had non-billable travel time of 2 hours or something. That'll populate over there, and then it'll also show me right here I had 2 hours of non-billable work hours. These percentages right here are based on 40 hours of available billing. This billable activity is basically summarize your lump sum and your hourly, and then tells me and divides by $165 an hour to give me kind of like a total relative to 40 hours, how much time you actually billed of that 40 hours. So if you've got a 40-hour work week at $165 an hour, that's $6,600, okay? And so basically what I'm doing as a percentage, I'm gathering the total billing between billable hours and lump sum billing, and basically in essence I'm dividing it by $6,600 to get your billable activity percentage. That's a little more complex, but when you summarize it, it's your total billable number divided by 40 hours times 165, and that gives you your billable activity. Then I've got non-billable activity, which is just hours you spent doing something that you couldn't bill. Hopefully that might be like a shop drawing review. That might be just travel time. Sometimes you may be spending some time during the week just doing stuff for somebody else that you can't bill for. Keep track of it. Write it down here. It'll help me understand what's going on, and it'll help you when you get to the end of the week and you only billed $2,000. Well, what'd I do? Well, I spent 2 days doing shop drawing review for TJ. Well, keep track of those hours over here in this miscellaneous column, okay? Write down the date, client, project, what you were doing, how many hours you spent doing it, and that'll help me take a look down here and see what your total percentages were for that week. And as long as it adds up to 100, i.e. 40 hours of activity, then you'll be in good shape. So anyway, just the short of it is, if you keep filling all this stuff in correctly, it should populate down here in your summaries correctly. All right. So that's week 1. Here's week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and then you get to this monthly summary. And you can see we just filled out 1 week, but what I've done is set it up so it populates all of the weeks, and then here's your billing efficiency. So for week 1, it was like 54%, but if that's all you did, then you'd have 13%. So this is your total monthly billing efficiency, your total monthly number of work days, your total monthly number of work hours, which all is populate automatically if you input the data correctly. So the only thing that you're going to have to do from week to week is right here, available work days, 5. If I brought that down to 4 days because there was a holiday, bang, you've got 32 days now. Same number of billable work hours, non-billable, but your percentage goes up because again, you're only working 32 hours that week. So this is something that's important for you to keep track of is, how many work days were there this week? Well, most of the time it's going to be 5. Sometimes there'll be a holiday, or if you take a vacation day, you can keep track of that and put the number in. Don't get too bogged down with that. This is a very general way of keeping track of yourself, and a good way that I can keep track of what everybody's doing from week to week. So don't get too far into the semantics, but just this is where I put enter days here to remind you. Make sure you look at the number of work days that week. Again, most of the time it'll be 5. And if you look through each week to week, I think the default that I have is for each week 1 through 4, I have 5 days, and then week 5 I put down 0. So here's how you're gonna keep track of everything. All right. So there's basically, I'm going to create this. You're going to keep track of it monthly with one note. You're going to really keep track of it weekly, but you're going to treat each week. You're going to put each week within the correct month tab, based on which day is Monday. So let's just take a look at the calendar here to explain that. So January has 5 weeks because it has 5 Mondays that are in January. So this would be week 1, this would be week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And here's what we're going to do. When you get down to this week 5, you'll see that the last 2 days are in February. Well, these last 2 days, you're still going to keep track of in January because Monday was the week that it started on. If that makes sense. I don't want you flipping over to the next week and starting over again. Okay. So if there's 5 weeks that start on the Monday, that's how you're going to keep track of it. All right. That way you won't be splitting weeks and stuff like that. I think it'll be easier to keep track of my 5th week has these last 2 days, and then when I flip over to February, just start on the 5th. Okay, I think that way there'll be several months that have 5 weeks and several months that have 4 weeks. But I think it'd be easier to keep track of it in a weekly basis. So if it's a Monday that starts in January, then put that week in January. If it starts on the next month, put it in that month. But those last 2 days, keep it within that prior month starting week, if that makes sense. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep track of this. Okay. It's going to be good for yourself. It's going to be good for me. You'll keep track of you. It'll keep you honest. It'll keep you on track. And then basically what you're going to do, I don't care where you save it or where you keep it. But when you're done, every month, you're going to email it to icgtimetracker@gmail.com. Right there, icgtimetracker@gmail.com. Every week that you complete your work week, you're going to send this in an email to icgtimetracker@gmail.com. All right. And then what you're going to do is don't start over. Don't clear out week one. Keep track of week one, week two. And as you progressively save it every week, send me the updated file that you keep track of. Okay. We'll start there. And then if you have any questions, please let me know. That's it for this one.